Okay, welcome back, everyone. This is another episode of MedChat Monday Healthcare Specialty Series. Today, we're going to explore what it's like to become an internal medicine doctor. We have with us Dr. Dana Corriel, who also happens to be the founder of SoMeDocs, which is a Facebook group that connects doctors across social media. Medical students, if you have an Instagram account or you're active on social media, you are welcome to search for the group and make a request to join. But today we're going to focus primarily on what it's like to become an internal medicine doctor, or better known as an internist. That's the short acronym for internal medicine. So Dr. Dana Corriel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me on. This is great.
So tell us a little bit about your background. Why did you decide to become a doctor?
Great question. I'm sort of boring in that sense. I decided to become a doctor because I truly just wanted to help people. And again, this is all non-rehearsed, just so that your audience knows. It's kind of just shooting off questions.
Oh, we're live. You know, there's no rehearsing when you're live.
I don't have the questions in advance. So I don't know what you're going to ask me. But maybe it's stemming from my background as an only child. I think I always sort of wanted to help people and wanted to please and wanted to shine. And we were immigrants, and so my parents pushed me, and I, always wanted me to become a doctor. And I sort of went along in that trajectory and had some hiccups along the way. But I think sometimes those kinds of hiccups in life sort of straighten us out and show us what the right path is. And so that's what happened to me before I became a doctor.
And your parents aren't doctors?
No.
So was there someone in your life that inspired you who said, go to medical school, it's part of the calling in terms of, or it fits your personality?
I think I was told that all along just because I want to help people and I'm so friendly and things of that nature. But no, nobody really I didn't grow up with anybody that was a figure I looked up to that was a physician. Not at all. I wasn't really prepared, is the truth.
And when you got to medical school, did you know that internal medicine was the specialty that you were going to focus on ultimately?
Not at all. I was completely open-minded. I didn't know what I was going to go into. And I think like many medical students, as we go through the training, we try different things out. And some things spoke to me and other things didn't.
Okay, so how would you define internal medicine? What is internal medicine? Because isn't that the bread and butter of medicine? You're kind of getting the gauntlet of basically everything?
Absolutely. It's the general internist. It's like the general primary care doctor. It's the person that you would go to as an adult. Internists just focus on adults, but it's the person that you'd go to for really anything that you have going on. They are almost like the coach of your healthcare. They treat you when they can, and when they need a little bit help, when it gets complicated or somewhat out of the realm of what we trained for, then we send you to the specialist, to the people that have done the internal medicine residency and then continued on into fellowship for additional training.
So when did you have this sense, this calling that you're going to do internal medicine? Was it in your third year? Was it in your fourth year medical school?
I think it was towards the end. I really like ongoing relationships. So I felt like primary care was a good place to start. But then there's primary care that's peds, and there's primary care that's an internist, and then there's med peds, and then there's family medicine. So I remember interviewing in both fields, but there's something about pediatrics that just didn't speak to me. I don't know if I just didn't have the experience of being a mother at the time, but I didn't connect with peds as much as I connected with the adults as an internist. Like there's something about those relationships with humans that can talk back and can make decisions for themselves that really I clicked with. And so ultimately I chose internal medicine. I think it was around the third or fourth year of medical school.
And was there a particular rotation that you can remember that you said, this is what I want to do? Because you didn't enjoy your pediatric rotation necessarily. I mean, you might have enjoyed the cute kids, but you didn't You didn't see yourself doing that on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And I actually can say that even as a mother right now and all the experience I've had with friends who are pediatricians, kudos to them. Like they deal with so much and I just can't do it. Like as a mother, my kids are amazing. I love them more than ever, but I don't know that I could take care of sick kids all day and the parents of sick kids who, again, like I'm one of them, so I get it. I can deal really well with sick adults and their families. I just connect with that.
Did you have any mentors when you were in medical school?
No. I mean, and you asked me actually what my favorite rotation was, and it was actually internal medicine rotation. I remember that the person who taught us was the head of the department. She was a wonderful woman. She was very inspiring. I think she was even a cardiologist, but she taught us internal medicine. And it's actually kind of sad because I really liked her. And years later, I found out that there was a tragedy and she was actually killed in an automobile accident with her son. I hate to like turn this morbid, but it was horrible. She had lived through breast cancer and she got killed in an accident. So I don't know why I brought that up, but I guess she's one of the people that I looked up to because she was so smart and she led us around and she'd always ask us really fascinating questions and she really kind of, I don't know, it inspired me.
So do you think you picked the right field? I mean, did internal medicine is there a certain personality that's attracted to becoming an internist?
Oh, absolutely. I think that I make a really good fit. Patients connect with me. I'm very, I could be very extroverted while also being professional. They feel like they connect with me. I love people. I love getting to know them. They feel that they can confide in me and they can. So I think in that sense, yes, but it's a very complicated question because I honestly think internal medicine is, and healthcare in general, but especially internal medicine is wrought with some really big problems these days. A lot of things that I actually actively write about that needs changing to make primary care better.
Okay, so what type of rotations did you do towards your fourth year? Because I'm assuming you did elective rotations in internal medicine, and you're coming from would you consider Sackler, Tel Aviv, an international school?
Yes. At the time that we were there, it was considered an American program. I'm not sure now what it's considered, but it's 100%. No matter what, we take all of the same tests as everyone here. We take the USMLE, like everything is the same, but there's additional steps that we need to take to as a foreign med student. So yeah, it's sort of a combination of both. And it was a great time. I had a great few years there. I love Israel. I was born there. It's my, home country. And it was great to go back and experience a different kind of healthcare. Yeah, and I was prepared for my training and training was wonderful. So sure.
Okay. So fast forward, you're applying for residency. I'm assuming you were interviewed at numerous places.
Yes.
What recommendations would you give to a medical student who's interested in going into internal medicine? How do they best prepare their application so that they can apply and be a competitive applicant?
Well, I mean, I think some of that is already set up for us because it's, some of our grades and the recommendations that we have. I could tell you on a personal level, because I've done interviews for certain things, is that just in general, I tell people that you don't want to sort of be in a box. You want to wow the interviewer. You want to show them that you're cool. You've got some edge to you that will add to their residency program, right? And that's true for any applicant for any program. It's true for college applicants. It's true for med school applicants. And it's true for residency applicants. If you think about the person interviewing you, they're literally sitting there with person after person of like cookie cutter applications. So there's something that really can stand out when you come to an interview and you present yourself in a super different way, or you have unique ways of answering questions, or you just really just think out of the box. And I think in life in general, like that's what pushes innovation, is just people that think outside of the box.
Okay, so fast forward, you get into residency. Take us through those years. How many years is it, by the way?
Internal medicine, 3 years.
Okay.
I had actually a very unique residency that maybe can resonate with some of your listeners, in that I became a mother during residency.
Oh, that's unique.
It is unique. It is unique, and it was a wow. That's all I can say. Wow. That's what it was.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because most of the doctors now who are finishing medical school, I think the average age is around 29. So I don't think it's as uncommon now for some women to be pregnant during their residency. So could you talk a little bit about that, obviously, and then we'll go back to what those years looked like when you were a resident.
Yeah, absolutely. It was hard. I mean, there's really no other word to describe it but hard. Because, it's already hard to be a resident. Residency is tough. Nowadays, at least, and again, not to say that nowadays it's any easier. It's always hard. But we didn't have the rules, like the hour rules, in effect. And so we weren't limited. We could work back to back and for many, many hours. I remember working a few days in a row without breaks. So residency is already hard, but you add to that the incredibly, just like the stressful period postpartum of a woman that is, has all the hormones flowing through her and is, susceptible to postpartum depression and to all of the stresses that happen when you give birth to a child, and the physical pain, the emotional difficulties. And then you have a little baby that's completely dependent on you. And there's no other word to describe it other than hard. My husband and I are dual physicians. We were both in residency. We needed to get help from somebody. And so it's a really tough time. So anybody that's going through it can probably attest to that fact.
Well, what recommendations would you give to a young couple who were considering having a child, whether one partner or both partners are going through residency? What's your advice?
I think the number one advice, and it's ironic because I have one of my little ones climbing up here, one of the biggest piece of advice is to not go hard. I think not going hard on yourself is the biggest advice I have, because I was really
Can we do it all is the question. Is it possible?
No,
is it
exactly.
possible to
No.
do your training and to have kids?
Well, you can, but not in a perfectionist kind of way, in a perfectionist mindset. Meaning, I have that. I'm guilty of it. I'm a perfectionist. And you're always feeling like you've got to be perfect in everything. So, and it's not possible. Like, it's not possible already doing residency. You will not be a perfect resident because you're not going to have all the answers, and you're not going to always impress everybody, and not everyone's going to think you're smart, and not everyone's going to, I could go on and on. You're not going to always make people live, right? When you go to a code, people die. Like, that's just the natural thing that happens in human life. So when you the sooner that you understand that and really let it sink in, the more successful you're going to be. And I'm still struggling with that, but I think that letting go of some of that perfectionism has made me a happier person and actually a more successful person. So like back then, I harbored a lot of negative feelings toward the fact that I couldn't be the perfect intern and that I couldn't be the perfect resident, whether it was because I didn't know everything or because I wasn't able to always be there or even be a good mom, right? The guilt comes from so many different branches in your life. We all have family issues. We have parents we have to be good to, and we have siblings, and some of us.
There's a lot of challenges when you go into medicine. It's not all rosy. But what you're essentially saying is take a deep breath. It's all going to work out. Not everything's going to be perfect, but don't add stress to yourself.
Yes, because also in residency, we get grilled as the resident, and we get there's a lot of guilt in our field. In medicine, there's a lot of guilt. You're always made to feel bad. The attendings that make you feel like you're stupid because you don't know an answer. It's okay. You're human. Sometimes you don't know an answer. Medical school. Just always be confident with yourself. If you've given it the best that you can, then there's that. And if you haven't given it the best that you can, then give it the best the next time around. I really hope that I can impart that to my kids, because I try to also be very firm with my kids. I want them to do well. I want them to give it their all, but I also want them to understand that nobody can be perfect.
And that's what you learn through going through this process of being a medical student, an intern. Can you walk us through those years? What does a typical week look like? What type of patients are you seeing as a resident, and what do the hours look like?
Wow, it's been so long. So, I mean, it depends where you are. I mean, when you're on the floors, internal medicine floors, you're working with a whole team, and the team takes care of various patients on their team. You've got an attending that's in charge of the team, and that attending can be of a variety of specialties. It doesn't have to be an internal medicine doctor. It could be a cardiologist or an infectious disease specialist. And you, as the resident, the intern and resident, are taking care of that patient, but you've got like a hierarchy. So as an intern, the resident's in charge, and then the attending is in charge of everybody. And it's a horrible thing to say, but under the intern are the med students, and sometimes there's college students that want to go into medicine, but there's like a whole team that's in place that takes care of these patients on various floors. And that's like a rotation. And then there's a rotation in specialties, like you can rotate around in cardiology, and there's like a month that we are in the ICU. Some places have a cardiac care unit. There's times when I was working in the ER and I was doing ER shifts. So you sort of rotate. And then there's clinic. So internists, internal medicine residency, you have to work in a clinic where you treat outpatients, because they want to set you up in case you don't want to do a specialty. Not everyone goes to a specialty. People become internists like me. In fact, we need more internists out there. So
that's why we're doing this interview.
That's right. We need more internists. Even though there's so many problems in internal medicine, we need these amazing, smart physicians.
Well, there's always going to be problems in medicine. So
Agreed. So
you're basically saying you have a lot of options. If you go into internal medicine, you can decide to do outpatient or inpatient, right?
Yes, hospitalist.
Okay, or you could consider a subspecialty like cardiology, gastroenterology, right?
Absolutely. Hematology, rheumatology, infectious diseases, there's many specialties.
So how did you come to the conclusion that you did not want a subspecialty, you wanted to be an internist, and you wanted to do primarily outpatient?
I didn't want to focus on a single organ system. I really love treating the human body as a whole. There was something that was calling my name to the fact that I could walk into a patient room and not really know. It was like a surprise, not really know what was going to be wrong with the patient. I actually wrote about it in my blog. I wrote that it's like Forrest Gump said, it's like a box of chocolates. You never really know what you're going to get.
By the way, what's the name of the blog so people, just in case they're listening, they want to check it out?
Absolutely. It's drcorriel.com. My handle throughout social media. You can find me on every single platform, and it's drcorriel, drcorriel.com.
Okay, so continue. We're listening.
Right. So life is like a box of chocolates. So it's the same with internal medicine. Internal medicine is also like a box of chocolates because you really never know what you're going to get. You open that door and you can have someone saying, well, I have discharge coming out of my eye. Or they could say, I've got discharge coming out of somewhere else, my mouth. Or they could say, I've got neck pain. Or they can say, my heart skips a beat. Or they can say, I've got abdominal pain. Or my foot got crushed yesterday. Like you literally don't know what's going to happen. Similar, actually, to the ER. It's also very exciting. And
there's a lot of variety in terms of what you get to see.
Absolutely. There's a lot of variety. But the difference is from the ER, for example, is that I get to have ongoing care. So I treat the patient and we make a plan and we both agree to the plan And then the patient leaves, but they come back. There's follow-up, which is just incredible. It's incredible to have this linear relationship with somebody and to have continuity of care and to actually see them get better.
Would you agree that the internist is becoming more empowered today than ever? Essentially the gatekeepers for the rest of healthcare.
No, I actually do.
You don't agree? Okay.
I think we should be empowered. There was just a study saying that internal medicine is wonderful and that if you actually have a primary care doctor, you have better health. And I believe it. But now we're talking about like the healthcare system of the United States in 2019, and I don't believe we're empowered for that reason. I believe we should be empowered. I think that we are the gatekeepers and we are an absolute necessity to medicine, but I think we should be more valued than we are. And that's why I want people to go into this and fight with me. Fight for more internal medicine doctors and fight for more respect and this again, this is a long conversation. But yes, I think that we need more internists, but that I'm not sure that we're being empowered right now, the way things are going.
Okay, that's an honest answer.
Absolutely.
Do you think there's an equal amount of women and men in the field in terms of being internist?
I'm not sure what the statistics are. I think that in general, I am part of a group that fights for gender equity. I think that I've read many, no matter what people think, I think that there's a lot of studies out there right now that are showing that there is an inequality in terms of pay. There's a pay gap. I think that proud women do a good job Proud women do a great job in advocating for that. Time's Up Healthcare just got started. In terms of representation, I'm not sure of the numbers. I would assume that yes, but I just don't have that in front of me.
Okay, so what is it like to run your own practice? Are you part of a group or do you have your own private practice?
I'm absolutely part of a group. I'm part of a large organization, so I don't actually get to make all of the decisions. I am the only person in the office when I work, but I'm not making most of the decisions. I am making the decisions for my patients, however, the medical care decisions.
And is that the normal pathway for an internist who wants to do outpatient?
No, not at all.
Do you have to join a big group, or is it possible to start your own practice?
Great question. So nowadays...
And be honest, please.
Oh, yes, I will. I'm just trying to phrase it in a fair way that there are the way the state of healthcare is going, I think that many of us feel like we are forced to join a big organization. It sometimes feels easier because the big organizations sort of make the rules. They have everything set up for you. And so you can sort of join and have everything in place and you can focus on the bread and butter of medicine, essentially. You don't have to run a business. The big organizations sort of run the business because nowadays there's big giants that are running healthcare. There's insurance companies and pharma, and there's government that's making all the rules like insurance companies and Medicare and things like that. So for a while, it was almost the only option unless you were really going to like work your butt off. But now there's also other movements, like there's DPC movement, which I'm, active with talking to them and everything. But direct primary care is a way where some of the primary care doctors are setting up their own offices in very low cost ways so that their overheads are not high, and they charge members a monthly fee, almost like a gym membership, so that you have very close care with you have very close.
It's an accountable care organization, more or less, right?
Not so much, but not so much. I mean, it's almost, again, it's like a gym membership. And there's also a way to get you lower costs for your drugs. They give out drugs for much cheaper. It's a whole movement. So if you look that up, you can find that as well. So there's options.
Okay. So what do you love about internal medicine and what do you not love about internal medicine?
What I love is that, and I think I touched on it, I can't say this enough. I love the continuity. I love seeing my patients come in and know who I am. I think at first there's always that hesitation. You walk into the room for the first time, they're sort of like sizing you up. They're doing their usual, are you really, and it stopped. I think I'm getting old enough where people don't question if I'm the doctor anymore. I used to get that a lot. Are you the doctor? Just having people trust me and having people put their faith in me and open up. I love that. And I love helping people and having them give me the feedback that I'm helping them. It's all the feels. It feels really good. So that's the positives.
And what's the negatives?
And I'm just being really honest. I think it's very difficult for internists because of the same reason, because we're general doctors. It's hard many times because the buck stops with us. So like if the specialists don't know, a lot of times they kick things back to us. And that can get really frustrating because sometimes we feel stuck. And we feel like we need a little bit more help. So that can be it's a challenging field. So I think that's...
And what are you most excited about in terms of the future of internal medicine?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think I'm most excited about the innovation that's going to come out that's going to change healthcare. And I actually am excited because I've put myself out there with my SoMeDocs project. And I really want to be a part of the innovation of healthcare and of making internal medicine more accessible to people and making visits longer and changing things so that we value our internists more. I want to be a part of that. And I'm most excited about it because I'm optimistic because I'm thinking outside of the box and because I've met so many people on SoMeDocs and in all the groups I've met and in my interactions that also think outside of the box. And together, I want to make a difference.
Okay, so you're very hopeful that internal medicine will be empowered through social media and by educating the patient that having an internist is important. So,
absolutely. I'm empowered. I'm passionate about it, and I do want to make a difference. And you know what? If I've pushed aside that perfectionist self, and I've said to myself, if I can do that, great. And if I can't do that, that's okay, because I'm still doing great things, in my career as an internist.
Okay. Well, Dr. Corriel, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on the show, and I think you are very inspirational to speak to, so I hope that the listeners are inspired to consider internal medicine as a potential profession to pursue.
I really appreciate it, and thank you for having me on your podcast.